So thank you everyone for joining us, and I'm pleased to be able to talk about something other than the pandemic. So it's a great excitement to me to introduce today's call, where we're celebrating the extension of our partnership and the great relationship we've had for many years with Soldier On. My name's Blaze, if you don't know me, and I'm the Director of Responsible Business working inside the Office of Purpose with Nicole Forrester. And I'd like to begin today's call by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land that we're all on today. So I know most of us are probably in lockdown and dialing in from home. I'm fortunate enough to live on the land of the Gymaragal people, so I pay my respects to them and their elders past and present. And I extend that respect to all First Nations people. And if you're dialing in from New Zealand, a big kia ora koutou to you. And I also extend that respect to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander veteran community, who oftentimes don't get a lot of recognition, who fought very bravely for a country that, historically didn't recognise them, and came back in service in World War I and World War II, weren't able to access veterans benefits, weren't even able to walk into their local RSL, even though they had served alongside their countrymen. So I want to recognise them and pay my respects and acknowledge that service and that sacrifice as well. So I'm really pleased today to be able to, as I said, to be able to be celebrating this great relationship. And I wanted just to invite Graham firstly to say a few words, and then Graham will hand over to Kyla Limo, who's the head of our defence practice, to talk a bit more about what this means for us.
Okay, thanks very much, Blaze. And I really do appreciate you recognising the activities of our Torres Strait and Indigenous Islander soldiers throughout the history of Australia's engagement in wars around the world, and the particularly difficult circumstances that they faced coming back as heroes and being treated like anything but. Thank you very much. And look, one of the great joys I had upon joining Fujitsu is to see the long-term enduring relationships we've had with very, very worthy causes, where we get to contribute a little bit to our community service obligation. And in the time that I've been back, I have had the opportunity to meet on a couple of occasions with people from Soldier On, including Ivan, and been to a couple of the events to recognise not just what we do with Soldier On, but what Soldier On does for the greater Australian community and for ex-veterans around the community. One of the events that I did go to was one at Government House in Canberra, where the true passion for this organisation and the work that they do was felt from the Governor General on through the ministers and military people that were there. So I'm delighted that Fujitsu can do our little bit, and I'm really looking forward to hearing a bit of an update on the 5 years that we've been with Soldier On, and a bit of a chat about what we can do going forward to make it a longer lasting and more enduring relationship. So with that, I will now hand over to Kyla.
Good morning, or good afternoon now, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Can indeed, Kyla.
Perfect. So thank you very much to Blaze and Graham for giving such a great introduction. From our perspective as Head of Defence, this is a truly important collaboration that we have with Soldier On. We have, as many of you know, we actively search for veterans to come and join our ranks. And primarily it's because they absolutely understand the intent to which we are seeking to achieve for defence capability outcomes. They understand the mateship, they understand the camaraderie, and they understand not letting each other down. And they're values that are replicated under Fujitsu's values-based organisation. So for us, we're really excited to continue this conversation through with Soldier On, and we look forward to seeing where it can take us. I know that a number of our veterans have had the pleasure of meeting with some future Soldier On individuals as part of the Pathways program, and it was very well received, and it was really exciting to see the enthusiasm for those that are looking to maybe migrate out of their uniform but still serve but from a different location and from a different perspective. So really excited to see how we go and to continue, as I said, a very important relationship through with Soldier On. So continue. Thank you, Blaise.
Thank you. So it's now my great pleasure to introduce Ivan to talk, and Ivan's really happy to take questions. So if you have got some questions, please drop them into the chat and we'll get to all your questions. But now, Ivan, I'm sure we're all really keen to hear from you. So over to you.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Blaise, Graham and Kyla. It's just an absolute honour to be speaking with you all this afternoon. And for those who watch the recording later on, I'm happy to take questions from you as well. But yeah, no, we love the relationship that we have between Fujitsu and Soldier On, and the opportunity just to share with you some of the stuff that we're doing and the work that we're doing together in our partnership. So this sort of front slide has a lot of the fun activities that we're doing. We've got some of the fishing we do out at Port Stephens, signing of pledges. We've got Gary Wilson there at the top left, who's running a fitness program. He suffered a very serious injury in a helicopter crash and served in Afghanistan. We've got the bike riding with families. So it's quite like it's actually a good plethora, and we've got lots of photos. They're right up to date photos. And it's part of that social connection program. And what we've also got on the front page there is our vision, which is enabling serving and ex-serving veterans and their families to thrive. And in some ways, you hear the term ESO or ex-service organisation. In some ways, it's a bit of an anachronism because Soldier On does a lot of work with serving and spouses and family members of those serving as well. And about 40% of all the participants that we work with are actually serving or spouses. So, for example, at Singleton, where there's a School of Infantry, we're helping the commanding officer there, James Smith, in finding jobs for spouses in Singleton when people get posted out there. So it's really gone beyond that, meeting a veteran at the gate when they discharge. It's actually well before that. Slide and okay, so the screen's a bit slow. So the partnership with Fujitsu, fantastic partner since 2015, a pledge partner since 2016, and re-signed with the Platinum Pledge in 2020. And that pledge is our employment program, which I'll talk about in more detail. So it's providing a transitional employment pathway for those in the ADF. And it's anyone that's worn a uniform for a day into the civilian world. We've employed 3 Soldier On participants just this year to Fujitsu. And Fujitsu has provided IT infrastructure and services and products to Soldier On, which has been fantastic. Did great help in terms of our Prep for Pathways videos, which has allowed us to put them on YouTube. A lot of help there, so thanks for that. And that allowed us to enable to reach hundreds of more veterans and family members. So that was something that Fujitsu directly helped us with. You've also hosted Pathway events. So Pathway events, it's a bit like a jobs market where we have potential employers of participants that come to a Pathways event all over the country. And it's a bit of a jobs market and helps people, participants interact with the potential employers. So you've actually hosted those for us. So that's really important. So I really appreciate that. And of course, my understanding is that everyone at Fujitsu gets to volunteer for 3 days in the year. So it's fantastic. We've had lots of people that have taken that opportunity to provide volunteering opportunities. So Soldier On's grown from about 26 staff to 70 just in the last 2 years. We're right around the country, and we have around 400 active volunteers. So it's a ratio of about 6 to 1 of volunteers to paid employees. So it's really, really important, the volunteering program that we have, and we're really grateful that staff from Fujitsu opt to volunteer. And I'll talk about that a bit more in the future. Story of Soldier On. So Soldier On started in 2012 when the founder, John Bale, and his partner, Danielle Clout, and Calvin Wilson. They John had his mate, Michael Fussell, who was blown up by an IED in Afghanistan in 2012, and they went back to their hometown of Armidale, New South Wales. And they could really see how the community was really gathering around the Fussell family. And John felt at the time that there really wasn't that provision of those services at that time nationally. So that's how Soldier On started. So I actually remember I was actually the CEO of, I was actually on the IronNet executive team at the time in my corporate role. And I went to the launch thinking, well, why do we need Soldier On? Isn't there already ex-service organisations out there? But the reality is those specific services for those veterans wasn't being provided at the time. And that's why Soldier On started. And the reality is, of the 5,000 ex-service organisations that exist in Australia, Soldier On is really the only national, fully integrated and holistic support and service provider for our national service personnel and their families. So there's a lot of state-based, individual geographical areas. Soldier On is a company limited by guarantee, and we provide those services right across the country and continue to expand. So it's about 1 million Australians that we support. So if you have a look at how many people have actually served directly in the ADF from 1990, it's about 400,000. And if you take their families into account, there's about 1 million people that have got a direct relationship with ADF out of Australia's 26 million population. So we to continue to adapt and meet the needs of our defence personnel. And that's one of the things that really characterises Soldier On. We adapt very quickly. So, for example, we've decided to extend our services to the Afghan security forces and to those who directly supported the ADF in Afghanistan without impacting the services that we provide for Australian veterans. And we did that very quickly. We do have to change our constitution, but we've gone out there and done that in consultation with our board. And we have lots of veterans coming to us saying, hey, look, the Afghan community really needs our support. So we're very nimble and adaptive. That's one of the things that characterises Soldier On. So why do we need to exist over the next 5 years? To enable serving and ex-serving veterans and their families to thrive. And philosophically, we improve the lives and help them create better futures. And we like using the HELP model to describe what it is exactly that we do. So H is health and wellbeing services, E is employment transition and support, L is learning and education, and P is participation and social connection. So I'll go through those in a little bit more detail just to explain what it is that we do. But before that, this is our geographical spread. And I'm proud to say that just in the last 2 years, we've expanded substantially and on the back of federal government support, on the back of philanthropic support. So we've had Chowchak Wing Foundation, Pratt Foundation just donated $1 million to us. And of course, Fujitsu are big supporters of Soldier On, both financially and in kind. So it's not, we can only do this with the support that we have from yourselves and other corporates and philanthropic supporters. That's fantastic. So we're actually now in every every capital in Australia. We've got staff boots on the ground, but we're also in multiple locations in Sydney. So we're at Manly, we're at Concord, we're at Concord Hospital with our Fussell House facility, which is a 19-room facility to help with veterans. We've expanded to Kiama. We're in Albury, Sale, Newcastle, Singleton. So Singleton's that grant that I referred to just recently, and Port Macquarie. So we've got quite a substantial geographical footprint. And one of the things that wanting to do strategic, you'll see on the right-hand side, all the help services, those blanks, we need to fill those blanks so that we can provide those services in every geographical location. And I'm pleased to advise that we are, in fact, looking to do exactly that. So I expect our workforce will increase from 70 to about 100 in the next little while. So we're in a pretty big expansionary push, and it's needed, as we know from all the discussion and debate about what's happening in Afghanistan. So just going on to that health and wellbeing. So part of that is our psychological services. So we provide in-house evidence-based psychological treatment for defence personnel and veterans. So we have psychologists, we have counsellors, we have telehealth, but we also, it's one of those things that, if someone's in crisis, they're more likely to ring Lifeline or Open Arms, but ours is more complex trauma, PTSD, stress-related, and often those people that fall through the cracks or really that these short one-on-one sessions don't really work. We've got Joe, our head of our counselling and psych services, is a head psych from the Australian Army, and he was one of only 3 psychs that were deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. So he actually knows it firsthand, and he heads up our psych and counselling team. But on the health and wellbeing side of things, we also do a whole heap of other things like yoga, exercise, nutritional support. There are so many things that we do in that space that goes towards the health and wellbeing. So March On, our big fundraising campaign, is all about, it's walking 96 kilometres distance of Kokoda. So there's a lot of exercise and health and wellbeing aspects to that as well. And we know that veteran suicide is a big issue, and there's been a Royal Commission called on it. So 39,000 people served in Afghanistan, 41 died, and 10 times that number have taken their life between 2001 and 2017, according to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare. And that number is gone over 500 now, and it's a real problem. It really hurts us every day when we hear within the veteran community that someone else has taken their life. We know that it's 21% higher than the national average for males and 127% higher for females. And of course, the Royal Commission has been called on that. Soldier On was quite involved in working on the terms of reference for that Royal Commission. And we've also set up an active working group. So we've got external stakeholders, internal stakeholders that we're coordinating. Because there are some people that won't want to appear before the Royal Commission, but feel more comfortable talking to Soldier On. And then we can represent them at the Royal Commission, but of course they'll also be representing, those who are comfortable doing so will appear before the Royal Commission as well and make submissions. So we're not trying to stop that. But we're trying to have this collective view of the veteran, from our veteran participants, as to what's going on. So there's about 12,000 people that have been engaged with Soldier On in some shape or form in the last 12 months, of which about 6,000 are directly supported with our health and wellbeing and employment and education, social connection services. So getting their feedback so that we can provide that to the Royal Commission. So March On's it's something that I introduced as the incoming CEO of Soldier On. I've been there for 2 years, and I'm a big fan of peer-to-peer fundraising. So, events like Movember, Dry July, September, those sort of things. And I felt that it was really necessary to have something which resonates with our participant base, but also is really good at fundraising. And we had our pilot year in 2020, but it really has taken off in 2021. So we had 6,300 participants right across the country. In fact, we have participants from the UK, US, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Canada, New Zealand, and France. So it's really gone international, who walked a collective 577,000 kilometres. And it's the idea is to do 96 kilometres the distance of Kokoda in the month of March, hence March On. So we think this is something that's really is really taken off. It's gone from the ocean floor to the top. There's people literally walking on the ocean floor as part of this, and of course on top of mountains. And Sergeant Burke was our patron. He's a World War II veteran. He's a Rat of Tobruk, served in the Middle East and in the Pacific Theatre. And he's going really well. He smashed it, and I'll talk a bit more about him in a sec. But 862 teams. So the team aspect, about 70% of all the people that did it had some sort of connection with defence. And we would like to encourage more members of the public in 2022 And it really has that H part of help, the health and wellbeing aspect of walking 96 kilometres in March, but it's also got the social connection aspect of our 862 teams working together collectively. And the money from that goes towards putting on more psychologists and counsellors. So there's Sergeant Bert. He's a legend. He was amazing. Like, so he walked 420 kilometers. So we actually started him really early, thinking we sort of like started him in September, thinking, okay, well, he's 100 at the time. He was 101. He'll need that time to get there, and like the bugger just kept walking. He's just amazing. He's an amazing guy. So he was living in Western Sydney when it started, and then he moved up to the Lake Macquarie area, and he personally raised $112,000. So he's a dead set legend and should be, Australian of the Year. Pathways program. So the Pathways program is, a very well developed program to provide that transitional opportunity for ADF members from as they transition from defence to the civilian world. We help with resume, CV writing, help with job searching. We have a jobs board that has over 1,000 jobs up there at the moment. So, there's Fujitsu jobs on there, and there's jobs from the 160 Pathways pledge companies that have signed up to the pledge. Access to pathway events, prep for pathways. And the program is funded from the Department of Veteran Affairs. So we did a fair bit of lobbying to get some money from the federal government, which they agreed to, and it's called the Enhanced Employment Support for Veterans program. But we also, we get money from the federal government for that, but we also supplement that with our own fundraising. So yeah, the Fujitsu pledge. So we had an exciting signing of the pledge in 2020, a continued commitment with Fujitsu, and of course a commitment for a continuation of our partnership more broadly with Fujitsu, which we're super excited about and really, really happy with. And we'd like to see more participants, more potential veterans getting jobs at Fujitsu. So if you've got a position within your area, we're pretty keen to talk to you because with so many participants, we've got over 6,000 active participants. I'm sure there is someone that we can find for you that, and of course you're helping out a veteran. And one of the reasons why I do this job is that you think about it, really protecting our way of life and our democracy, particularly in a world where there are shrinking democracies and totalitarian states, is something which we need to. These people are prepared to put their life on the line to protect our democracy. The least we can do is try to help them find a job post service. So that's really happy with the Fujitsu pledge partnership in supporting that happening. So with the on the education side, one of the things that are really popular amongst veterans is recognising prior learning. And we are working with universities. The ACU is about to do a pretty fantastic announcement. We work closely with universities like Australian Catholic University, University of South Australia, Western Sydney University, we're talking to University of Canberra. And the thing is, we don't just willy-nilly sign up an arrangement with a university. We will only sign up with a university that has some form of proactive program for veterans that's been thought through, designed, and implemented. It's just not sticking a certificate on the wall to say, hey, we support veterans. It really has to be a meaningful transition. We've also signed an agreement with TAFE Queensland, with other registered training organisations. So there really is a lot of education partners that Soldier On has partnered with to provide, because we know skills and education is a very important component of getting in the workplace. And just talking about that, we have internship and traineeship programs. So for example, we have an internship program with DISA, Department of Industry, Science, Energy, Resources, where 15 interns get placed every year, veteran interns. We have a traineeship program with Microsoft, where they're looking to have 100 trainees between Fordham and Soldier On in the next 12 months. We have a scholarship funds with the University of Canberra. We're currently in the process of looking at establishing a Soldier On scholarship program that we're going to tip in, a few $100,000 into to kick off. And have scholarship opportunities for veterans nationally. IBM launched their Skills Build program with Soldier On and the Prime Minister late last year. So they've got an online portal for skills building through their platform. We had a pilot mentoring program with Sage, who one of our corporate partners is looking to financially back into the future into making it a bigger mentoring program. And the feedback we've got from mentors and mentorees has been fantastic with that program. With activities, we know that social connection is a really big part of supporting, and we literally do everything you can think of: fishing, horse riding, surfing, kayaking, archery, 10-pin bowling, sea glass making, garlic braiding, Dungeons and Dragons, you name it, we do it. So right across the country, there's something for everyone in the veteran community through that through the Social Connections program. And the feedback we get from veterans and their families from our programs is just amazing. We get feedback all the time saying we're changing lives. Look, I shudder to think what the suicide rate would be if it wasn't for Soldier On. And it's one of our Soldier On ambassadors, Hugh Remington, said to me once, you know what, if Soldier On saves one life, it would have been worth it. And I can tell you, we've saved a lot more than one. So know that your support of Soldier On is absolutely helping people. So we have other programs like the Soldier On Serving On program, which is building resilience and connection through volunteering and community service. So that's a combination of corporates get involved with that, veterans get involved with that, family ties, which is that family angle to what we do, having the intergenerational, individual and family resilience building. We've got Facing Forward, which is focused on providing defence personnel, both men and women, tools to adjust and accept their self-image after leaving the service, because that is one thing that, because when they're in the ADF and serving, there's this real commitment and knowing where you are and what your purpose is. So part of Facing Forward is really reprogramming and helping with that. Okay, so what is my purpose post-service? And we know that having a job's pretty important. Education is very important. Socially reconnecting is important, as is health and wellbeing services. Vet Connect, amazing program. We actually got some funding from the Thyroid Foundation to run a female women's Vet Connect program over the last 12 months. And it's really an intense program, which we've run in South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, ACT and Queensland, all different ones, which is supported by Head of Psych and our Head of Social Connections team, Sarah Hartley, who's based in Sydney. And the feedback we've received from that has just been unbelievable. Changed my life, saved my life. This is now I understand. I didn't want to go out and interact with people. Now I am. I understand my purpose. It's just been unbelievable. So that's a really great program that we run. In terms of fundraising campaigns, I've talked about March On, Stronger Togethers around Remembrance Day. Sydney Gala, we had a big, when there wasn't lockdowns, we sort of caught it in between. And that was an amazing event at the Four Seasons where we raised $1.5 million. Thanks, Gina Reinhardt was there and the Stokes family. So we got a lot of support from some pretty senior Australians. And that's where Gina told me that she lent on Anthony Pratt, and that's where he's donated $1 million to Soldier On, which was just amazing. So we love the Pratt Foundation, and we love the work that, or the interest that Gina has in Soldier On as well. In their honours around Anzac time, Christmas appeals pretty obvious, and community fundraisers. So the other thing we encourage is third-party community fundraising activities. So, for example, Polly Pedal, which was started by Tony Abbott, and Angus Taylor's taken that on, and that's where all these politicians get involved and raise money. They normally raise between $300,000 to $400,000 for Soldier On. but it's going to be pretty tough in the current COVID environment to go for that ride. We also have a golf vet am. We get a lot of really good feedback in terms of the therapeutic benefits of golf for veterans. So we've done that in Canberra, but we've had to put the others on hold because of COVID. But it was hugely successful. The Governor General played, and we had Hugh Remington as the MC, and it was a very successful event. Not so much a fundraiser, more really helping veterans. So the idea is, if you're familiar with golf, you have a pro-am, we have a professional team. The idea is you have a veteran in the team, and that the corporate has one veteran in the team to play as well. That's an Ambrose event. So workplace giving. So we strongly encourage those of you at Fujitsu to be engaged with workplace giving. And it's pretty easy through your HR department. They do a great job. So it can be deducted from payroll. So there's no need to wait for tax time to claim your refund. So we really encourage you to consider donating to Soldier On via workplace giving. And the thing that's fantastic is Fujitsu provides a matched staff donation concept as well, so that we know that doubles your support. So for every $1 that you donate to Soldier On, Fujitsu will match that. So that's fantastic. Thank you very much for the management of Fujitsu in doing that. We really appreciate it. Volunteering, as I mentioned before, there's a volunteer form straight on our website. So please complete that if you're interested in volunteering. There really is so many different opportunities for volunteering at Soldier On. It can be flipping a sausage, or it could be being part of a social connection program. There's so many different opportunities to volunteer with Soldier On. And if you're interested in doing that, you can do that straight on the website. So we strongly encourage you to consider doing that. Corporate partners. So our big supporters are BAE, the Australian Government, Pratt and Chowchak Wing. All of those organisations have kicked in more than $500,000 a year to support Soldier On. But we also get a lot of support from the others that are on the screen there. And of course, Fujitsu, thank you as an associate partner. We love the support that we receive from you, as I've mentioned before. If you want to give more, you can, but to go up that list. But look, we really appreciate the support we get from Fujitsu is just fantastic. Really, really appreciate it. And we've got special thanks there's a whole other bunch of other organisations. There's some in-kind stuff that's provided. There's dollars that are provided. We try to make it as broad as possible, so there are just so many different avenues for corporates to be involved. Really what sort of appeals to the organisation in terms of how you can support Soldier On. So that's the end of the slideshow. And I think it's just within the designated time frame. So I think that then gives us opportunities to ask questions and for me to have a go at try to answer them.
Absolutely, Ivan. Well done on keeping to time. I know it's a challenge when there's so much going on, and particularly at the moment, I think dealing with those challenges of the pandemic, of a royal commission, and I'm so glad that your organisation is providing support to the Afghan community too, because it's just I think we're all watching in absolute shock and horror at the situation that's unfolding there. So as I mentioned before, we will take questions for Ivan via chat. So if you have got some questions, please drop them into the chat. I've also just put in the link just now, a link to this background that's you can see here being modelled by myself and Nicole and Graham, so that we can kind of show our support and celebrate this relationship with this background. Ivan, I've actually got a question for you. Maybe we'll kick things off. And I'm wondering if you can kind of tell us a little bit more about the support that's provided for partners and family members, because it's, I know it's that whole community around that veteran. It's not just about that individual, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a good question, because too often we think of, look, it's the veteran, but often, it's the spouse, it's the children, it's the grandparents, grandchildren. that are impacted by service as well. And that's why we sort of say it's 1 million people that we support. And in fact, a lot of people that are engaged in our programs are in fact family members and not the veteran themselves. So like an example I think of is, we had a Virgin pilot who'd lost a job in the pandemic, and her partner was serving in the ADF, and we helped her get a job. I've sort of mentioned in Singleton, where Kevin Lomax, our staff members on the ground there to help those people who are posted in Singleton. So unless you really want to work in the Hunter Valley wine industry, it's pretty hard getting a job. So, and I was just talking to Kevin just 2 days ago. He's really helped out a lot of spouses in that particular area with jobs. And we know the spouses with service in the ADF, they get moved around a lot. You sort of have to go wherever you get posted into a new location. And we help those spouses as they get posted. That's why I sort of said like 40% of everyone who participates at Soldier On is actually still serving. And we actually do it with our own staff members. So we had a staff member who had to move from Canberra to Sale for a posting. And we said, okay, well, let's just set up shop in Sale. And there's your job. We're going to move you to Sale. And we've actually got a staff member who looks like they're going to have to move from Darwin to Townsville, both two big garrison towns. So we're helping them as well. So yeah, it's and ex-serving as well. Because often, the person that's helping the veteran that's going through a lot of PTSD or trauma issues associated with service, who are they taking it out on, or who are they bouncing it off? It's in the home. So it's really important that we provide that support to family members and not just to the veteran. I hope that answers the question.
Great answer. Thanks, Ivan.
Ivan, sorry, Blaise, I might just jump in there. Thanks very much, Ivan. Always good to hear you talk about the great work that the organisation is doing. And as I said at the opening, happy and proud to be part of it. I didn't say in the opening, I come from a service family myself. My father was in three different wars in the Air Force. So I know a little bit about what it's like when you demob. But he certainly didn't have an organisation like this supporting him. He managed to get through okay, but a lot of his friends didn't. And I saw some of that visited amongst his friendship group. So he would have loved to have had something like this. Just from our point of view, the March On, I just wanted to throw a challenge out there to Fujitsu at large. If we can get a team up to do the March On next year, and I'm sure we will with over 70 people on the call, we'll make sure that we match whatever's raised. So I'll put that out there now. We'll double whatever the Fujitsu March On team contributes. And I might have been throwing up some of my own money if someone can convince me to get involved as well. There's a challenge.
Yeah, and look, we've just so you know, with March On, with the team environment, we actually set it up so it'll be really clear that Fujitsu has a team, and we actually have leaderboards as well. So the corporate that raised the most last year was BGIS. So they raised around $55,000 as a team, and they also had some dollar matching. So there's a challenge for Fujitsu. See if you can knock off BGIS as the top corporate fundraiser. We know there's a bunch of other corporates that are lining up to support us through that as well. KPMG have indicated they're really keen to do that as well as Babcock's and BGIS again. And we've also got the challenge, the 10 Aussie Peaks Challenge, which is out at the Snowy Mountains, which is like a more intensive, and BGIS sent a team to that. So that's something Fujitsu might want to consider. There's also going to be one in the Blue Mountains of Sydney, and also 10 peaks in the ACT. So there are some real challenges as well if the organisation's interested in doing that as well.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Lay down the challenge there. Well, look, I think we're almost at time. We've got some great comments coming through from some of our own ex-service community, kind of talking about the importance of services like these and the need for that support. So great to see those personal testimonials there too. And yeah, I'm sure we're all looking forward to marching on with you, Ivan. So look out for some more communication on that, and great challenge laid down by Graham there. So we will close now. We are right on time. So thank you so much for joining us today. We will have this recording available afterwards as well if you've missed anything. And if you have been inspired, as we said, there's some great ways to volunteer, including digitally, to take advantage of the paid volunteering leave that Fujitsu is offering, our Volunteering with Purpose policy. Or if you'd like to, talk about how you can include a veteran in your business, please reach out to me and to Vi and our recruitment team, who can help you forward those links with Soldier On. So really encourage everyone to get involved, and thank you for joining. Looking forward to some more great years of partnership. Thanks, everybody.